Coming up, Ronnie Coleman's health update and Nathan Diasha. Let's see what's going on.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
And we're back for another installment of Heavy Muscle Radio. We are live here on this beautiful Monday afternoon. I'm here with John Romano, sitting in for Chris Aceto again. I believe Chris Aceto has sun poisoning now, which is ironic, seeing that he was a skin cancer survivor. So I think he was on vacation. He got a little too much sun. So
first world problems.
Yeah. Now, Ronnie Coleman, who seems to have the most problems right now, I wanted to address. There's a new health update for Ronnie, and put up by I would assume his family. That's the only thing I can think of, John. I would be putting that up.
They're the only ones that have been giving us anything.
Yeah, I mean, but it's kind of very generic. But according to this report, at this time, Ronnie's overall condition remains serious but stable, with continued signs of gradual recovery. His medical team is still actively working to identify the source of the infection, which can take several days to confirm through testing. During a recent round of evaluations, doctors identified an additional underlying health matter that will require surgical procedure. This procedure is expected to take place in the coming days. The medical team is confident in their approach as part of Ronnie's broader care. And then they kind of just thank everyone for, all their support. What do you think is going on with Ronnie? I mean, what else could be going on?
I got a real problem with this and the lack of transparency. Like it or not, Ronnie belongs to us. Period. He's a public figure. He's this 8-time Mr. Olympia. He belongs to us. Yeah, he's got a family and they want to keep things private and all of that, but we're family too. And to be left in the dark constantly, an underlying medical condition that requires surgery. Just tell us what the fuck it is. What do you got to do this like anonymous, nebulous kind of read between the lines bullshit? All that does is stir the rumor mill. All that does is create conspiracies. Right. All that does is pokes the fucking sleeping douchebags with a stick. So they're going to come out and say stupid shit. And that's what you want? Just tell us what's wrong with the guy. Right. And why is that such a big fucking deal?
Right. I mean, let's say, for instance, and I'm speculating because I don't know anything. Let's say he needed a stent. He had a blockage or something like that.
Anything, whatever it is.
All right, they're going to put a stent in. I mean, what's the big? I don't know what the big deal is. It's very mysterious.
Terrible.
You know what it is? It's not that anyone wants to ever poke fun at Ronnie. We love Ronnie so much that we're so concerned that we really just want to know what's going on with him. It's like one of your brothers, being sick and no one's telling you what's going on. It's it's like when Greg was in the hospital during COVID and his girlfriend couldn't get into the hospital to see what was going on with the guy because they wouldn't let her in. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, but that was a situation that was sort of like, involved everybody. This is one of our industry legends, industry icons, friend to all of us, especially us. All right. And why can't we know what's wrong with the guy? I mean, if anything, it's going to help us tune our prayers up. I mean, come on, give us something. This is really terrible that they keep us in the dark like this with these nebulous freaking, vague answers and updates when we need to know, we should know, we have the right to know what's wrong with the guy from a lot of different perspectives, not only just his health, but our community. So tell us what's wrong with him.
Yeah, it's a little disturbing. I agree with you. And it's, but you know what? I guess you got to respect the family's,
You do, but what happens is know the types of people that hover around our world. They're fucking douchebags, some of them. And all they're going to do is create conspiracies, make stupid memes, and somehow cast aspersions on bodybuilding because they hate it to begin with. And this is just another, facet in their huge cabal of everything that's wrong with the sport. Because, once you become a bodybuilder, you're never allowed to get sick and you're never allowed to die. Because if you do, then it's all drugs.
Yeah, so, of course. Right. You're not allowed to get an infection. You're not allowed
nothing.
To have a heart attack. If you get a heart attack, it has to be from steroids.
It has to be. If you get a hangnail, it's got to be from the trend. The thing that when I read reports like this that are they're very professionally written, antiseptic, no emotion to these posts that I'm seeing from his team on Instagram, I get concerned because when people do those type of things, it almost seems like they're not really sure if he's going to recover. Right.
That's what worries me more than anything. In other words, they were giving us Fouad Abiad was totally transparent. They had videos of him in his hospital bed walking around with the after surgery from his neck surgery. He got fucked up, but he knew he was going to, recover. It just was going to take a while. Right. When I don't see anything from Ronnie, especially seeing that Ronnie's awake now and we're not getting any videos of him saying, "Yeah, buddy," or something like that, that worries me because that's not Ronnie. Ronnie would be like, "Let me tell the fans I'm okay."
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like these updates sound like they were written by a lawyer.
Right, which makes it seem like it's very serious, doesn't it?
Right. It's they're definitely making it the assumption that everybody's making because of how they're handling the PR is that this is way worse than anybody's letting on. Because if it wasn't, he's got a cold, he has the flu, his temperature was 109, he's okay now, we gave him Tylenol, whatever. But I mean, to be this vague and sort of, roundabout the whole thing, it's just reeks to high heaven of it being worse than it is.
Yes. And you know what, John? It might be.
It's got to be. I mean, really, honestly, why would they be doing this otherwise?
I mean, maybe he's awake, but he's not coherent, which would be terrible.
This is all of us feel a tremendous connection to him.
Yeah.
Because he's our contemporary Mr. Olympia. He was, we were all kind of coming up through this at the same time, right? Yeah. In the 90s. And this is
John, I was working booths with him at Metrex in the 90s. I was doing guest postings with him when he was Mr. Olympia, during his reign. We were going out to the Outback together and restaurants. We were hanging out in our lounge in Australia for 24 hours, when we got delayed. I mean, he was Mr. Olympia, but he was a guy who would hang out with anyone. He was just like a regular guy,
and regular Iron Brother.
Even and with people like that you have that kind of a connection with, and that at any moment you see, if I would run into Ronnie anywhere, it would be like we've been hanging out every single day for the last 20 years. That's a real friend because they're authentic. They're not using you for anything. Right. They're authentically like you, and I authentically like him. So when stuff like this happens, even though I might not talk to him every day, it's like one of my family members something's going on with. So it's like when I don't hear what's going on and no one's, I mean, think about it. No one's calling me up and saying, "Hey, Dave, everything's all right. Don't worry about it." Yeah, please don't say anything. I'm not getting any of those phone calls either. No one's contacted me. And usually I have some inside sources everywhere, that will call me and say, "Hey, you know what? This is what's going on. Just don't say anything." And of course, if someone tells me that, I wouldn't say anything.
Of course.
I haven't heard anything from anyone on this.
Me neither. Nothing. And everybody's asking me too, what's going on around.
Very weird. Yeah, which is very weird.
So I sure hope that they change their mind about how they're handling. It's worry is what it comes down to. We are worried about them. And the more you keep us in the dark, the more worried we are. So if you're needlessly worrying us, please stop.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. But look, it's up to the family.
Ultimately, that's the truth.
And we don't know everything that's going on. So now I wanted to bring up something. and I wanted to get your opinion on this. We were talking about the Mr. Olympia the other day. Hold on, let me pull this up. Dun, dun, dun. And someone grabbed a little. Someone posted, should the why do we only have top five? Why do only the top 5 receive prize money in the Mr. Olympia? And I posted something, and on what I responded to that post, and I said, well, I think only the top 3 should receive prize money.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I said I'd rather see the top 3 get more money and have the other guys get none, because you know why? It's the Mr. Olympia. At the Olympics, they don't give the top 10 medals. They give gold, silver, bronze, right? That's it.
That's it.
And at the Olympia, we're talking about they have a look, there's so many divisions now, and you want to make sure you reward all these divisions appropriately. You can't be giving the top 15 at the Olympia men all prize money. It's not a participation event. It's the championships of the world is what it is in bodybuilding.
Right.
Top 3 in every division should get maximum prize money that you can possibly offer. That's my belief. And it's not a participation thing. Now, now hold that thought. Let's put a thumbtack in that for a second. Let's go back to the 90s. There's only Mr. Olympia, right? And Miss Olympia. There's no other divisions. Now, that's when Lee Priest was making a big deal about, hey, all the guys should get paid something because they're participating, right, in the Olympia. Different story. Only one division. It's the whole show. That's the entertainment for the weekend, right? The Mr. and Miss Olympia. Big difference, okay? Now we have a lot. The weekend is an Olympia weekend with a lot more going on. And we want to see the prize money getting into the stratosphere. We want to see $1 million being given away. The only way it's going to be done with that many divisions is to give the top 3 prize money. That's how I feel about it. I mean, what do you think about that? Am I wrong?
No, you're on the right track anyway. My opinion is just slightly different than yours. I think the competition should be limited to 10 people. There's 10 slots to qualify for. That's it. And if you make that and you show up for the show, the top 10 get 10 grand. Period. Just because the reason I say that is because they make a production of the show. They make a show out of it, a spectacle. They're selling it. They're getting pay-per-view. These people are participating in it. The top 10 should get something for showing up there, spending all their money.
And that's every division you think that should be in, or just the men?
I think everybody. Place 3 through 10 should get 10 grand. Period. Then 1, 2, and 3 on the
70
podium.
grand right there per division you got to give away.
Yeah, well, I never said this was going to be cheap.
But I'm saying the problem is it has to be affordable. I'm saying I think that instead of doing that, take that 70,000 and apply it to the top 3 places.
Yeah, but
give them more money, because you should be rewarding the champions, not the guys that didn't make it.
Yeah, then make it fun. You got to give. My point is, you got to give.
Why?
They got themselves there. They prepped for the show. They're part of the production. They're being used as entertainment. Give them a couple of bucks, rather than come all out of your pocket for that.
It's not Little League, John. It's not a participation event where you get a medal.
It's required. They require you to participate in all of this shit.
No, but you don't have to. This is a voluntary thing. You've qualified. You can go to the Olympia. They pay you away. They pay a hotel. They give you some food expenses. Why is there an onus responsibility?
They pay if they're paying their
and why is it Jake's responsibility?
Whoa, back up. You didn't say that. If those 10 people are being paid, if their expenses are being covered to get there.
Yes.
Okay, that's a different story.
Yeah.
So if their expenses are, then I agree with you 100%. If their expenses are being paid, I think limit it to 10 people, top 10. That's what you qualify as 10 berths. You qualify, and then 1, 2, and 3 get the prize money.
Now, how do you limit it to 10 people? Because what if there's more than 10 shows and there's more people qualifying?
Well, then you're gonna have to have you're gonna have to go by ranking. Remember, they used to rank the bodybuilders.
I think, John, the answer is that you let everyone come who qualifies, but you only pay the top 10's expenses. and then the top three should be the ones that get the prize money. That's how I would.
But then I don't want 70 people in the class either.
Well, I mean, in prejudging, you'd have to eliminate that. You're not going to get 70 men's because there's not 70.
No, but you'll get 70 bikini girls.
Well, that's fine. You cull them in the prejudging. So for the night show, when they get on stage at the main stage, then you're not going to see 70 women up there anymore.
Oh.
I think that if you don't make it the top 10 after prejudging, you don't even come back at the night show. That's
exactly. Right. You got to be the top 10 to even be in the night show. Right. All right, I agree with that. You can weed it out there in prejudging.
Not that it matters what we're saying, but I think it does make sense, though.
Well, from an economy of time perspective, I mean, you got 11 divisions going on. You're going to sit through that. That's 11 times 10 right there. You're going to see the top 10 of everything. That's 110 people.
I know. So, that's more. That's too many already.
That's already too many. Exactly. Yeah. So
you do half on Friday and half on Saturday, then I guess you can, you talk that is much more palatable, I guess.
There's too many divisions. There's just too many. But
they're there already. So because they're there already, we can't get rid of them. So
I don't agree with that. I mean, I think they should get rid of the 212 and make everybody open for the men. I think they should merge women's physique and women's bodybuilding.
Yeah, I mean, that would be smart. They're probably not going to do it because, first of all, Jake Wood loves the women, so they're not going to do that. And he likes the bodybuilders and the physique competitors, are not big enough. So I agree. I think it could be a combined division, but let's assume they're not doing that. If they don't do that, it shouldn't be Jake's responsibility to pay everyone's expenses. Top 10 get paid. That's what I think. And that's still a lot of people.
It's a lot.
Like you said, that's 100 and something people.
110
and then
people.
Prize money should only go to top 3. As far as you get the gold medal or the silver medal or the bronze medal, you get a paycheck, and that's it. Everyone else, nice job.
Everyone else work harder next year.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I agree. I think that's what they should do.
Yeah, I think we need to bring more of the exclusivity back. After the bodybuilding has suffered this black eye of all the pro cards getting handed out. I mean, everybody in the world bitches about that. Well, that was Lee Haney's thing with his division. He's like, pro cards mean nothing anymore.
Well, it's not that they don't mean nothing anymore. They don't mean what they meant when I was competing. Okay. Yes. Because they were given out so frugally, right? But now that the business model has changed, there's more divisions. They're giving more pro cards out, which is encouraging more people to compete because it's easier to get a pro card. One of two things should be done. Either nothing and just it is what it is. Pro card doesn't mean what it used to mean. And, but still the elite are still the elite. Or you make a second division that if you win a pro show, maybe your pro card gets like elevated to a higher status pro card.
I think they got to go back. I'm sorry.
I am like A plus, pro or something like that. Whatever they come up with get Blackman to come up with a good nickname.
No, bring the universe back the way it was. If you won the USAs, the nationals, everything, you had to do the universe. And if you won the universe, then you turn pro.
No, let them turn. Look, the pro cards are good for business. Okay. But you can have a secondary status of the pro card. In other words, you could have 2 levels of pro cards. Status. One is the intro one that you get when you qualify for pro status. The next is if you win a pro show, you elevate your status to a higher degree.
I like that.
And maybe even have like an Olympia pro card. Like if you win the Olympia, you have even a special gold star on your pro card that says I have won an Olympia championship.
Why not? I like that.
And you know what you can do? You could charge double for the elite or whatever you want to call the pro cards, and then for the Olympia, you could charge 4 times the amount, right? For that one. So there's your incentive for the organization to make these pro cards. But I think it's smart. This way, you could put on your Instagram profile, I am I don't know, whatever you want to call it, pro. I am a winning pro. Or I am an Olympia pro, however they want to do it,
An elite pro. There's just regular pro.
That might be confused with Raphael's division.
Oh.
But I know what you're saying. Like advanced pro or something like that.
Yeah, advanced pro, elite pro, platinum pro, something like
platinum
that.
pro. There you go. Yeah. And then you can have the Olympia pro,
right.
If you won an Olympia championship.
Right.
And so these cards would so that when people go to your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever you use social media, at least you'll see what sort of a pro. All right, they're not just some supermarket checkout girl that got a pro card in bikini. Masters bikini, but this person actually won a pro show. So that's more impressive, I think.
Yeah. 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 I don't know, man. I've been going through this. I've been going through this whole thing lately about the modernization of everything and how some things just become too refined, and too civilized, and you kind of lose the guttural kind of raw feeling about things, the way they used to be.
Well, yeah, but things have to evolve. You and I have adapted over the years, John, from when we first started doing the magazine stuff to starting RX Muscle to evolving from contest coverage to original TV programming, making our own studio, doing the first TV programming, and now still being relevant in the world of bodybuilding in terms of all the different programming we do, because we're not afraid to evolve. So this is just another aspect. I mean, the divisions have gone up, and we have more divisions. We have more pro cards. We also have a lot more participation in all the pro events. I mean, in the amateur events and the pro events. So that's good for business, and I understand that, even though it might not represent what a pro card used to represent. Therefore, it needs another level. And I don't think that, and look, I'm sure in 5 years, Bob Chickarello will try to take credit for coming up with this idea, but I don't care. It needs to go out there. I really think they should seriously consider levels of pro card that your status would earn. And like I said, it's a very simple status update. Hey, I won a pro show. If you won a pro show,
that elevates.
That means that you're really good. It doesn't mean that you got lucky and no one showed up at the Masters Nationals in the 60 and over class. You know what I mean?
I think that's an important distinction too, because there's people that just get their pro card as the goal. I just want to get my pro card, and then they never compete. Right. I know 10 people like that. So that kind of dilutes the auspiciousness of the pro card as well. So if you can make that elite tier, that platinum tier where you win a pro show, and that elevates you to a level above just a regular run-of-the-mill, national contest winning pro. Now you've won a pro show, and that puts you in an elite class. And then, once you qualify for, I guess that would qualify you for the Olympia. So you can call them elite or Olympia level, an Olympia pro, right?
Right.
I think that would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you win the Olympia, I would think that should your pro card should have a special, like I said,
absolutely,
gold star,
and you're qualified for life too.
Olympia. Why not call them Olympian Pro? That kind of thing. And especially since you are qualified for the Olympia for life after winning one of those. Right. There'd only be a few guys that would have that special pro card, and that would look cool, and you can create your own little logo to put on Instagram, whatever, a little badge, whatever you want to do. People love badges. People love badges, and they like letters after their name. You ever notice that?
I didn't.
The person who has the most letters after their name of any human being I know is Colette Nelson. Colette has like 42 letters after her name. She's got so many degrees and so many different things.
People like that.
She has so many letters, John, that she has to pick the ones that are the most important because she can't pick them all after her name. But people like status and stuff like that. So that's why a lot of people turn pro, because they want to be able to put IFBB Pro on their Instagram handle. And to me, when I see that, it doesn't impress me anymore, because I don't know where they got the pro card. Like I said, they could have won age 60 and over at the Masters Nationals, and that's not going to be the same. It's not going to impress me as much as the guy who won the USA Championships in the Open.
Right. So. Yeah, the proclaiming, the stickers, the certificates, all of that stuff, the letters, that means shit to people. I think it means way too much. I had this buddy of mine who was a lawyer in LA. Lawyers have all lawyers have their diplomas framed.
Yes.
My wife has them. They're all the diplomas and certificates, the Supreme Court, all that shit is all framed behind.
We already talked about Ronnie Coleman. I don't know why people keep asking about Ronnie Coleman.
What the hell? They must have gotten here.
Go
late.
Watch the beginning of the show.
Yeah,
sorry, we're live though.
Exactly. So, Jeffrey, my buddy, I go, how come you don't have all your diplomas and shit framed behind your desk? He says, who said I went to law school?
That's great. It's like the movie. It's like the TV show Suits.
Yeah, like who said I went to law school?
Oh, by the way,
I mean, he did go. I mean, he did
yeah,
definitely.
I know,
but it was just the point of it was like, who gives a fuck what school you went to? You care if I win your case.
Right. Happy belated birthday to Lee Priest, whose birthday it was the other day. What is he, like 53 now?
He must be. Is he over 50 yet?
Oh yeah, he's over. He was.
I just because I met him when he was like 18. You know, when he first
crazy?
came to Venice, and it's like, will you please grow up a little bit? I mean, he's never. I'm always so much older than him.
This was a great. By the way, let me pull this up. He had to put a post up with him and Joe Gold. I thought this was awesome.
Oh wow, I love Joe.
Watch this. Look at how young Lee is. Look at those arms. They're like retarded. Look at
He's curling like 315 too.
I don't know if he's curling. I don't think he's curling 315 there, but he was doing some kind of rep out thing. But
no, he did once. Eddie Giuliani fucked him up. I'll tell you the story in a minute.
Look at those arms. This is fucking nuts.
It's just nuts.
People don't realize how gifted he was back in the day.
Fucking believable. Look at that. It's like a freaking grapefruit.
I know.
And it's perfectly spherical too.
Yeah, there it is, Joe. Joe loved Lee. He was like his son.
He loved Lee.
Happy birthday, Lee Priest.
Yeah, so Lee was out on the outside deck, and the squat rack. He had 315, and he was going to curl it, and then he's pacing back and forth, psyching himself up to get it. He's just getting under the bar, grabbing the bar. And Eddie Giuliani comes over and goes, "You better watch out with that. You don't rip him. You don't rip your bicep." And Lee goes, no. He gets all unwound. He goes, I was just, you knocked him completely out of the zone.
That's funny. You know who contacted me out of nowhere? I haven't heard from them for forever. Peter Paul.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
One of the original Barbarian Brothers.
Original Barbarian.
David is no longer alive.
Right. So what's he doing?
Did he speak I think he might come on the TV show.
Did he speak in rhyme?
Yeah, he could definitely rhyme. That's for sure.
No, he speaks in. The last time I talked to him was all rhyme.
He actually was speaking kind of normal to me. Like
really?
He was actually acting like normal, and I was like, wow. I was like, holy shit.
Human normal or normal?
Yeah, like he wasn't rhyming. Like he still types in all capital letters like Valentino, but he wasn't. That's which was Peter's on the right. Yeah, I think Peter's on the right.
Yes.
But so I told him, I said, what do you think about the Barbarian Brothers 2.0? Those guys on Instagram who call themselves the Barbarian Brothers, they're like Spanish guys.
Right.
And I thought he was going to give me this whole diatribe, but he was actually like, well, they're kind of honoring us. So, because they give us credit. So he kind of was okay with them.
That's a cool way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw David do reverse grip bench presses with 500 pounds.
Yeah. They were fucking crazy. What was what was the Alzado Barbarian Brothers fight story? Because they wrecked his house, right, or something like that.
Yeah, they wrecked his house up in Topanga.
What happened?
Huh?
What happened? Did they go?
It was very similar to the Jimmy the Bull Ed Connors story. They got whacked. They were doing something and they just went nuts. I don't know. They were so unpredictable, those two. You never knew what you're going to get with them. If they were in a good mood, a bad mood, serious, not serious. Right. So yeah, I could see him totally destroying a house. Alzado was pissed.
Well, did he fight them or did he? What
no. He was going to. He went. He went looking for him. It was It was blown out of proportion.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But, they were. I know they were because I thought they were friends with him, weren't they?
They were. No, they were. They were good friends, and they were good friends later. It was just kind of a one of those. It was
like a one episode thing.
It was like a Jimmy the Bull Ed Connors thing. That's exactly what it was like.
Yeah. Hold on, let me pull up one more picture of the Barbarian Brothers when they were younger. Before they wore the wigs. You know the story about the wigs?
I don't remember the wig story.
I think
they couldn't grow their hair or something.
No, I think Peter burned his head or something like that, and he couldn't. His hair was all messed up, and he started. And so David agreed that they would both wear wigs or something like that, and so that's
because that's Peter on the right there, and he's.
Is that him on the right? Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. That definitely looks like a wig.
I don't know if this was the wig stage. The wig stage when they had the really long hair, I think. Pretty sure. anyway, they were good guys, very talented.
Yeah.
So, but misunderstood for sure.
Very misunderstood.
I said, Peter, you want to come on the TV show? He's like, not until they remove us from the blacklist. I said, I don't even think that blacklist even exists anymore. I don't think you're on it anymore. I said the black because they were so difficult to work with in Hollywood that they were put on a blacklist, in which no one would work with them at all.
No, they had to go to Italy.
Yeah, it ruined their whole film career because they were really doing well. I mean, they were doing mainstream movies. I mean,
yeah, they did DC Cab or something.
Then they had their own Barbarian Brother movies.
And they did all these spaghetti westerns in
Babysitters. Remember that Babysitters movie they did?
Yeah.
But yeah, they blew it. They blew it big time.
Yep.
And Peter, I'm sure if we get Peter on the show, he'll tell you about he had this like idea for these puppets that talked. They were like Sesame Street wanted to pick them up. Like he had, I mean, it was like he was going to be a billionaire from this puppet thing. He came up with.
I know.
And when they got put on the blacklist, no one would touch them for the 10-foot pole after that. God knows what they did to get on the blacklist. I'm sure we'll never hear the real story.
No, never.
All right. So let's talk about the Mr. Big Man evolution, where NECKZILLA, Rubiel Mosquera, wins his second pro show in 2 weeks. Obviously,
that dude is big.
He's a freak. This guy is a fucking animal,
freak,
monster. You know, I was asking guys that were there. I said, "Did he? You know, what do you think? Did he deserve to win?" And they're like, "He's just so big. Even though he's not put together that well, he's just such a monster that it's impossible to you know, unless someone's got such superior shape to him, you know." Look at him. He's like Big Ramy and Victor Richards
put together,
but not with the same genetics as those guys.
No, he can't get totally shredded, can he?
I think he's pretty hard. You know,
he's got thick skin, that thick, you know, ethnic skin.
Yeah, the person who was really, I think, the most upset was Nathan D'Asher.
Yeah, of course. I was a little shocked, to be honest with
NECKZILLA. And that was actually last week at the Flex Pro. Let me see if I can find some new stuff. But let me pull some stuff from this past week. Here, hold on a second. So, yeah, I mean, the problem is that he doesn't have the nicest shape. And because he doesn't have the nicest shape, people, you know, think that he shouldn't win. But this is a bodybuilding show, and it's about muscle, and it's about conditioning, and he's got oodles of that, right?
Exactly, tons.
Look at this. I mean, this guy's just
look at his leg sweep. I mean, that's retarded.
I mean, he's got insane calves too.
His calves are ridiculous.
John, I am convinced that he is myostatin negative. There's no way this guy has one iota of myostatin.
His arms are a little short.
It's impossible. He's got that Michael Lockett look to him, you know, like the big calves, bulldog looking head.
Yep.
I mean, that's like typical of the guys that don't have myostatin.
And
big
just the slabbiness of his muscle.
It's like
big and flopping.
They do like a set of 135-pound squats, and their legs grow 2 inches.
Right.
You know?
Look at those. Look at his freaking calves. Holy shit.
The only thing holding him back in what I see is that he's a little narrow.
His arms are short too.
Yes, they're short, but you notice like he's not that wide. He's got big delts, but he's not that wide.
Clavicles are not that wide.
Yeah, his clavicles are not that wide, exactly.
Right.
So it looks a little weird, but I don't know.
His arms are so short. Oh my God, they're like really short.
He's got a weird structure, right?
Yeah.
But legs, oh my God,
forget
about those legs. That is, you know, that's impressive. And like I said, he wasn't this conditioned last year. He didn't have this presentation last year. And I think that really put him over the edge. I think he looks like a champion when he's up there. He's very professional, which he wasn't, you know, prior to this. And you got to remember, he got his pro card last year. So, I mean, he's only been a pro for a year.
Man,
he's brought up a lot of body parts. His back can still be a little bigger, I think. Do you think this guy places in the top 6 at the Olympia? Or no?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I mean, he's massive and incredible to look at from a freak standpoint, but he's just not. He don't flow. Big obliques.
I'd like to see him on stage with like Ramy and stuff like that.
I'd like to see him next to, Nick Walker and Ramy and those guys. Yeah, I'd like to see him next to the big guys.
Because I mean that's
Samson Duda and Andrew Jack. I'd like to see them all together.
Yeah, because he's just a big freak.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that was from last week actually, that Flex Pro show. I don't think this for some reason there's not a lot of footage from this past week. Let me see if I can find more footage. Isn't it terrible that like just that no one gives a shit about these European shows? I don't know why.
I don't know why either, man. There's some good guys in them.
I don't know what the problem is. Hold on. Keep talking. Let me pull this up.
Keep talking. You hear my dogs in the background barking?
Yeah, they go to the bathroom.
I gotta let them out of that cage soon. We might have to wind the show up.
The person that was the most upset, I think, with this last show was Nathan Diaz.
I would have to be because I
mean, this is a guy who is looking to qualify for the Olympia, and he looked really good. Let's pull up some footage of him here. Hold on.
Wasn't he favored going in?
I would think so. I think he looked really good here too. I don't know what the knock against him was.
He's got right size arms lengthwise, but he's got big obliques too.
I don't know if that might not be from the show.
I just looked at crisp though.
And that was NECKZILLA from the show.
Mm-hmm. What an appropriate name. What a freaking neck. His traps are retarded. He has no neck.
He's got some pretty damn good big quads to be called NECKZILLA.
Right? I mean,
you would think Quadzilla would be a better, although that's been taken.
You would think. Well, but because that name's been used so much, they just moved up, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, but
I feel
bad for Nathan. Yeah,
I do too, because he was favored going in. So what do you think about everybody refusing to turn their head on their back shot, their back lat spread and their back double bicep?
I think it's because you're telling them to turn their head that they're not doing it.
But it shouldn't have. I mean, why did that stop? I mean, it's the craziest thing because the trap looks so different when you twist your head.
I know.
I mean, everybody used to. They used to do vacuums and they used to twist their head.
Yeah, they don't like doing it anymore.
Why? Because their necks are so big and thick now that they can't twist their head. They have no range of motion.
NECKZILLA should do it. It'd probably look really good if he
imagine what that would look like. Shit.
No, I thought I took us off of this thing.
Who's the skinny guy?
I don't know. I want to pull up one more person. Hold on. Horse MD, Marcelo De Angelis from Brazil, dropped down to the. I don't know how he made classic physique, to be honest with you. And he won. So he'll be going back to the Olympia and the classic. It's a miracle. I don't know how these guys do it.
So who are we looking for?
I don't know why this thing's not coming up.
I guess Sid's not working.
There it is.
There it is.
So Marcelo De Angelis, Horse MD from Brazil, is going back to the Olympian Classic. He was a classic guy, then he couldn't make classic. He went up to the Open, which I thought was a good move on his part, and then he decided to go back to Classic. I don't think he looks as dominant in Classic, but it is what it is.
I wonder if he can, dude.
I wonder if he. I know he qualified in Classic. I wonder if he can do Open. In other words, you have to qualify in the division that you do?
I guess, yeah.
Wow.
That would make the most sense.
I mean, he looks good. Don't get me wrong.
Looks good. Looks all right. Good vacuum.
He needs a better back. His back has always been his weakness.
His back's pretty
great
shallow,
legs and the great front. And
his arms could be bigger and his back is pretty shallow.
Yeah. I think he's way too depleted here for He looks way better when he doesn't have to make weight.
Yep.
I think he won by virtue of the fact that there was no one better than him, but I don't think this is a good look for him.
No, I don't either.
I don't know why guys want to go. It was like when the guys remember when Derek Lunsford used to go down and make 212, and he would always look terrible. And, and then he just decided, you know what, I'm not going to go to 212, and I'm going to do the Open, and he wins the Olympia.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like don't give up your strengths. If why would Marcelo, who's a young guy who has he has another probably 5 years to grow and improve, why would you want to go backwards, and go in a division where you really can't make the weight class, and you're compromising your gifts, which is
right.
The flow to your body with all that muscle on it. I mean,
remember Kevin English? He'd be like 260 when he was working at Bev's, and then he'd go down to 212.
Right, but
or was it 202 back then?
Yeah, but he looked good when he did it, though. So, but it was
I don't know. He looked way better when he was big.
Yeah, I know. But it would be hard for him to win a pro show. But the point is that I think it's that people don't want to work hard anymore, John. I think they want to instantly go into a division, and they want to instantly be a champion, and they want to instantly go to the Olympia, rather than say, you know what? I have so much talent. I got a small waist. I got a very beautiful physique. It's going to take me 2-3 years to grow into this open division properly, where I'm going to be dominating shows. But when I get there, I'm going to destroy people. And they don't want to do that.
No.
Let me go backwards into classic because I'm already at the top of that class. No one's going to be bigger than me. Even though I'm not going to look my best, I'm still going to be dominant in there, and I can get back to the Olympia. But who cares? You're not going to win the Olympia because you can't be your best on stage.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why these guys do this.
Work ethic and pride in what you're doing.
Unless it's a sponsor thing. Maybe the sponsor wants them in the Olympia.
Sponsor could have a hand in it. That's true, too.
That's true.
That's true. I didn't think of that.
I mean,
but for the most part, you're right. For the most part, you're right. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to work hard. Nobody wants to sacrifice. Nobody wants to suffer. Nobody wants to put in the dues and delay gratification and everything else. They want everything now, whether they deserve it or not. And they feel like they deserve it. They feel like they're entitled to it.
Right.
So it's just wrong on every level, and it's polluting everything that we hold dear to it. Is permeated bodybuilding. Go to any business, any small business in your town, and ask the owner, "How's business?" Business is great, but the help sucks. You can't get good help. They all say the same thing. Nobody wants to work. Nobody cares. I just had our pool redone. There's no craftsmanship left. None. I'm watching these guys work. I'm like, fuck, I can do it better than that.
Right.
And it's just annoying. No one, and it's everywhere, not just bodybuilding. It's everywhere. No one wants to work.
Yeah, when Marcellus hits when the horse hits the front pose, he looks great. But I think big mistake sucking down too much. Here's a hypothetical. I want to ask you a question. If you had to pick a physique that you wanted to be, okay, like remember, I don't know what your mindset. My mindset as bodybuilder was always big, freaky, hard, muscle. Would you rather be Ruben or Rubiel, NECKZILLA, or would you rather be like Sean Clarita?
Do I have to have short arms to be NECKZILLA?
Well, I'm talking about, would you rather be a big, freaky,
I would rather be the big I would want to be
or like a more aesthetic short guy,
No, I would want to be Lee Priest.
Lee, no one can be Lee Priest. That's not in the option.
Come on.
He's too, but but then again, Lee is a shorter guy. So I mean,
to have arms like that, I'll take short.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I would. I mean, you got it. My favorite body parts are calves, forearms, and back.
Right.
Those are my favorite body parts. And if you've got great arms or great calves or or a great back, you got my attention. Joel Stubbs was one of my favorite bodybuilders. Nobody liked him because he had no legs. But that back, are you kidding me?
He's still enormous. Someone showed me a picture recently of him because he knows a friend of mine. Oh, really? And he's still enormous. Yeah, he's still flying airplanes, commercial airlines.
They'd be that big to be a commercial airline.
Yeah. You know what? I always said when people always ask me that question, who would you want to be? I always said Tony Freeman. I think he's
beautiful
tall,
physique. Yeah,
he's got a beautiful physique. He's got a lot of muscle. He looks like a professional athlete when he walks through the airport. Everyone thinks he's like a a football, basketball player or something like that.
Right.
But yet he's got muscle that's beautiful, you know, and a tiny waist. So he's got kind of like the best of both worlds. Cedric had a type of physique like that too.
I'd take a 1998 Flex Wheeler.
Yeah, Flex was good, but yeah, Flex. I mean, you can't. How can you not want that physique? But I'm just saying, I like the fact that when Tony put a sweatsuit on, like an Adidas sweatsuit, and walked through the airport, everyone just was like,
yeah,
who's that?
Right.
You know, because he's got the height. You know, Flex is probably the same height as me, and you know, most of the other guys about 5'10", 5'11", somewhere around that. But Tony was like 6'2". You know, he kind of just a little taller than everyone else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Taller and more imposing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't get to choose our genetics. We have to just work with the genetics that we have to make it the best that we can, and that's all we can ever do. And so when I see a Rubiel Mosquera, I'm like, you know what? He did the most with what he. I don't think the guy can get too much bigger. I mean, I hope he can get his back a little bigger, but I certainly don't think he should make his legs any bigger. Do you?
Those legs are maxed. Those are Big Rammy maxed out legs without the.
I think that his legs might be bigger than Big Rammy's. I mean,
I think they are. I think they are. I'm just saying it's that overly over quadded out look that they've got. You know,
those guys have both got to be myostatin negative. I'm telling you, I would bet money on
some degree of it. I think Lee Priest is too, to some degree.
Yeah, I think he is too. Yeah, you know,
Flex Wheeler, I think, was to some degree. I know Rich Gaspari is to some degree.
You ever see Lee's hands?
They're like meat. They're
like mitts. They're like.
But it's this part.
Yes.
Right. It's like his hands are like. I mean, my hands are pretty. People tell me I'm pretty big, but next to this part right here, the thick part, it's like a catcher's mitt.
He's got like a catcher's mitt right there.
Yeah, it's like shaking hands with a bunch of bananas.
No, I remember when we were in Alabama last year. I was looking at his hands. I'm like, "There's something wrong with you." I said, "Your hands." I said, "They're meaty, like
they're thick." Yeah,
and it's not like he's not on a ton of gear now, and he's not huge anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like that's just his natural state of being. You know,
I think he's still huge.
That's why when he tells the dosages of stuff he took, he's not exaggerating. He didn't need a lot of drugs.
He didn't need it. What do you need it for?
What 100 milligrams of testosterone? Him taking that is like everyone else taking 1,000 milligrams. His body responded because he has no myostatin, like you said, probably. So he just responds to everything better, you know?
Absolutely. No,
he's natural most of the year from what you know. Now maybe he's on hormone replacement, but he used to always be natural for long, long periods of time.
Well, he followed the old school route. They would diet up to a show.
Yeah.
So he would start, you know, he'd probably gain 10 pounds from where he started his diet.
Absolutely, yeah. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I agree with that. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
So, what are you planning on going to the Olympia?
Yep.
Oh, good. That'll be fun.
Yeah. It will. I hope.
I want to pull up Nadelman, who won the 212 at the Mr. Big. Let's talk about him. He's a freak, this guy too. Have you seen his pictures? I know you don't like. I know you don't like the 212 division, but this guy is fucking nuts.
I mean, I like the guys. I just don't like the division.
Yeah. He could definitely be an open guy and be very successful. I mean,
I just got Lee. Lee makes this a very strong point in that argument.
Well, Lee doesn't think any of these guys should do 212. He thinks they should all go into the open. You know, so I don't know why this is not showing up.
It's a nice white square.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing up. There it is. Oh, he's finding the video. Oh, there's a video. Okay. While he's pulling that up, just trying to give everyone their props. And
I keep forgetting on this show you talk about bodybuilding.
We do. Yeah, we do. Tomorrow we don't. Tomorrow we have the freaks on tomorrow. You know, it's funny. Everyone's, I always get like complaints. I always have people that love the shows we do for the after hour show, than the people that hate it. And I see, guys, that's why I do them. I'm always trying to pull up different topics so that not everyone always likes every show. I don't want everyone to like everything.
Yeah, no, you can't like everything.
No,
we wouldn't be doing our job.
Let's see what the schedule is. So we have we're at By the way, next week I will be at not this weekend, but the weekend after I will be, during the week actually, from Tuesday to Friday, I'll be at the Masters Nationals in the great state of Pittsburgh, or the great city of Pittsburgh, I should say.
City of Pittsburgh.
State of Pennsylvania. Chris Aceto will be there too with his son. His son is doing T Nationals.
Really?
Right, there he is. It's right in the middle. Madelman. And he's going to be a dominant force, I believe, in that 212 division at the Olympia. Looks great. Clinched the win and his pro card. So congratulations to that. All right. Getting back to my schedule.
Man, I know what Greg means now.
Next week, like I said, the Gary Udit has this show, John, pegged so that it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
That makes sense.
It's great.
That makes sense.
They can do that in Pittsburgh because the Sheridan Station Square Hotel, they have the ballroom, and I think the hotel gives them the ballroom the whole week because they bring so much business there. So I'm literally flying in Tuesday because all the men go like on Thursday, and I'm actually leaving on Friday. Because there's no reason to stay
home for the weekend. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's great. I love it. Pretty soon though, that show will be 2 weeks long. Because
that's what they need. What they need to do, especially in the Olympia, is they need to separate it in men and women. Men one weekend, the week in the middle is all the other bullshit, and then the other weekend is the women. So men.
Or John, maybe they can negotiate with these hotels. That hey, look, we need 4 days in this theater. Give us a good deal. Because I'm telling you, when you split the show up into and make it like a 2.5, 3 hour show, because it's because you don't have a lot of divisions, it's much more palatable to sit there and watch it. It's actually fun because you can actually analyze the show. You can look at the competitors, and you don't have to say, "Oh my God, we're never going to get to dinner." We're going to.
I just hate when there's audience manipulation. That's what I don't like. When you got a show that's like enormously long and then they split up, everybody's staying because they want to see the guys. Right. So they bring them out first, they do a little thing, and then they pack them backstage for the rest of the show and bring them out at the end.
Well, how about
keep everybody in their seats?
How about this? If you got 4 days in the theater, right? You do the guys on one day, you do the women bodybuilders and the women's physique on another day, and then you do the bikini girls and the fit model and the figure on another day. But what you do is you make the ticket price much, much cheaper for those divisions so that you still sell, because people are going to be there the whole weekend anyway, right? I'm there for the Olympia weekend. If I know I'm only paying $20 to get in for the figure and bikini, I'm going to pay it. I'm going to go. I'm not going to be like, yeah, why not? What the heck? And it'll be a fun night. You get to watch that. I would go, if I was a paying customer and I didn't have to pay the same price I paid for the men's open, I would certainly go to the bikini for $25, right? And it becomes a much more fun weekend. The key is that I don't know if they'll do this in Vegas. I'm sure probably more in Orlando, you can probably do something like this, but they got to work a deal with these hotels and say, look, we can't do these shows in 2 days. We need 4 days for this. And to do it right, we're bringing you a ton of business. More people are going to stay here now an extra 2 nights in hotels and buy all the food at the restaurants. Cut us a deal,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some place that would do it.
I'm just my only concern about something like that is the audience getting burnout, after. I mean, how many physique shows can you watch in 4 days?
Well, there's no burnout because you're only going for 2.5 hours each day. It's much more easily consumable, and it's fun because you get to stay an extra couple of days instead of going Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now you're going to go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because they're going to do the press conference. They're going to have, every day they'll have a little, a couple divisions. It'll be fun. You go to the divisions, you go out to eat with your friends after, you go back the next day, and then you can have the expo if you want to have it for an extra day.
That's true. That's true.
It'll pay for itself, but you have to have it well planned out.
They got to have a good deal with the
people will make a destination out of that, the Olympia.
And if they could contain it all in one place,
right? Well, they've been doing that. Yeah.
If they can do that, then that'll work.
Well, but
you got to start traveling around.
You remember though, the Las Vegas Convention Center is now linked to the Resorts Hotel, but that tunnel
with the Elon's tunnel.
The Tesla tunnel. Yeah.
The boring tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah.
The boring company tunnel.
So it's not that bad. It only takes about 10 minutes to get over there.
I like riding in those Teslas under there. That was fun.
Oh yeah, it was cool. And there's no traffic to contend.
No.
Do you remember how long it would take to get from the Las Vegas Convention Center back to the Orleans Arena?
That was diagonally. That was diagonally, completely from one end of Vegas to the other. You could not possibly squeeze another 10 feet out. It was the longest possible trajectory from one end of the city to the other.
And the whole trip, we would hear Blackman saying, "Well, where are we going out to eat?" And John, make a reservation at Kraft Steakhouse. You know, right? And he was checking things and reviews, and it was nuts. But for the whole trip, it was like an hour, and we have like 3 minutes to get ready to go to the night show when we get back from the expo. It was terrible.
Right, right.
So at least I felt like this past year was very well laid out. I didn't feel like I was rushing.
Yeah, no, I thought the layout was awesome. Yeah, it was really good.
And with those Tesla tunnels, it made
I
it
love
very,
that.
very easy to get
I
back.
absolutely loved that. That was my favorite.
I mean, the resorts hotel is a little expensive, but it is what it is.
Yeah, well, I don't pay for
mind,
much. So.
I don't mind paying for it. So.
I don't have to pay.
No, like I said, I didn't mind because everything was self-contained right there.
Yeah,
and it made it really easy to get around. And so for me, that was
fun. It was good.
But anyway, that's the thing. Hold on, I was just going to give you, before we wrap up today, I want to just go over. All right, so we did the Mr. Big Evolution in Portugal this past weekend. Next week, the Chicago Pro, but they don't have an open there. Then we have Tampa. So July 31st through August 2nd, that weekend is the Tampa Pro. There's another qualifier for the Olympia there. They have the Ben Weider Natural Canadian Pro Show, I think, on August 3rd. That's obviously just for the natural guys. Then they have the Texas Pro August 8th through the 9th. That's another qualifier. And the Masters Olympia is on August 9th through 10th in Tokyo, Japan. I will not be going to that. I don't think you're going to that, John, right?
No.
All right. And then
you never know.
September 7th is the Pro Muscle Italy Pro. That's an open.
I would go to that.
Yeah, I would love to go to that too.
Is that in Rimini?
It's in Milan.
Milan.
Yeah.
Even better.
And then there's the Europa Pro Championships on September 14th. That's Dennis James' show. I believe that's the last qualifier for the Olympia. So,
wow.
There's still a lot. It'll be interesting to see, John, who does these shows, because most of the people that needed to qualify are qualified. And there's not. So, in other words, will guys start doing these later shows as a warm-up for the Olympia, maybe make a little extra money for themselves? Or do you think people are going to kind of hold out, and then we're going to see some weak competition for these shows?
I like when they strategize better to give us more, more chances to see them. So make more money, compete 2 or 3 more times.
I bet we might even see what's his name? Samson Dowdy. He likes to do some of the warm-up shows to kind of make
that'd be cool. It's great when you get to see these guys a couple, 3 times a year instead of just once.
Right. If I was some of the guys that maybe are not going to win the Olympia, but can do well, like if I was Rubiel, I would hit another couple shows, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
You already? Why not do another 2?
Just go for it. See what happens. Yeah. Rack up the prize money
and the wins too.
And the wins, but it's not. Like Walt Whitman said, it's not about the money. It's about the money.
It's about the money. Well, he won $15,000 this past weekend. I mean, it sucks that he didn't win the Dubai Pro Show. That was $140,000, but nice. A little more competitive. I would keep hitting show after show if I was Ruby.
I would just keep competing.
The guy's got oodles of muscle. As long as he can continue dieting,
those legs are retarded.
I know. That's like
all from his waist down, his legs, his calves, just crazy.
Are those legs bigger than Ronnie Coleman's?
I think they are. I think they're bigger than everybody's.
Yeah. Look at the glutes too. The glutes.
Look at this. The striations in his hamstring.
Think about
his hamstring.
Think about the Per Bernal photo shoot with on hamstrings and glutes that Bleckman would have.
Oh my God! And then you can just hear Bleckman in the background going, "Woo, yeah!"
Get his calves and get the glutes and the hamstrings.
Yeah, bro. Woo!
Per, make sure you get those glutes. Oh, there's Lee Priest. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Lee. Hope
My,
you had a great. Hope you had a great day.
You missed. We talked about you early in the show.
Yeah, we did.
Probably just
I admitted I wanted to look like you.
Why do people keep asking about Ronnie? We talked about Ronnie in the beginning because you guys always say we don't address it in the beginning.
We did the first thing we talked about. We opened the show with it. We even gave a teaser about it.
Yeah.
No mention of Ronnie. You mean you don't like what we should just talk about Ronnie the whole entire show and that's it because we're waiting for you to log on?
John actually did a whole rant on why they should reveal what's going on with Ronnie.
Yeah,
we're very worried about him.
You missed the whole. Then you're gonna have to watch from the beginning.
Yeah. I am worried about Ronnie.
I am too. I'm very worried.
Close out the show with sending a serious prayer to him because I know that Ronnie probably has prayed for other people, when
absolutely
in the industry. And this guy, what's the deal? If Ronnie is conscious, I don't know if he is or not, but if he is conscious, I can guarantee you that he's not worried in the least about what's going on with him. I'm sure his wife and everyone around him is a nervous wreck, falling apart. But I can guarantee Ronnie is like, ain't nothing but a peanut.
Ain't nothing but a peanut.
Bring me my my steak and my salmon, meal.
And my barbecue sauce.
Yeah. I can guarantee that Ronnie is not stressed out about what's going on.
I just want him to be okay.
Yeah, no, we all do.
I'm worried.
We love Ronnie, and much prayers go out to him and his family, and hopefully whatever this secondary medical condition that's going on, I don't know if it's heart related or whatever related, it's going to require surgery. Hopefully it's just a minor surgery and they can take care of that and everything will be all right. But on that note, I guess we're going to wrap up today, as we say every week here at Heavy Muscle Radio.
The truth hurts.
We'll see you next week, guys.